Alright, let's go. The FBI has completed its investigation at Talladega Superspeedway and determined that Bubba Wallace was not the target of a hate crime. Photographic evidence confirms that the garage door pull rope fashioned like a noose had been positioned there since as early as last fall. Wow. Wow. I've always said that NASCAR will find a way to outdo its own incompetency no matter what situation they find themselves in. Oh, dude. This, yesterday in the race review, I said that I could go on for like 20 minutes about what happened, and I didn't. And I'm so jaded. I am just jaded as fuck about the culture war. I followed it since like 2015, and these kind of things just don't surprise me anymore. And I'm not saying that as everyone else in the culture world that I follow on Twitter. Some of my favorite people, Cassandra Fairbanks, I think is one of the most even-handed people that I follow in the culture war, and she is going ballistic over this situation. And I want to preface everything in this video by saying, do not blame Bubba Wallace for this. Oh my god, dude, because NASCAR themselves confirmed that this whole thing started off, it was not Bubba Wallace who found the noose. It was not Bubba Wallace who asked that they go public about it. Bubba Wallace said, from what I understand, he contacted guys like Blaney in confidence and all this. And I think that what it is that NASCAR themselves were the ones who went public with this as soon as possible. And in this era, we are just... I mean, I don't even know if I should be making this video, because by the time it's uploaded, by tomorrow, anything could change. Any number of things could be different about this. And there's so much going on in this story right now. This could have its own 30 for 30 film. There are so many things that have transpired in just such a short amount of time that I don't even know where to begin. The only thing that I do know is that Bubba Wallace is the victim here. He would be the victim if this was a racial hate crime, and he's the victim now because they went public before getting all of the facts together, and now I've already seen it on Twitter everywhere. Everybody is comparing this to Jesse Smollett, and the thing is, that's an unfair comparison. It really is. Bubba Wallace had nothing to do with this story going public. He had nothing to do with the FBI investigation. Besides, he was probably questioned, but it was NASCAR who kicked off the investigation. It was NASCAR that announced this. It was the... I'm gonna get myself in trouble by saying this, but it's the Twitter journalists who signal boost this story from the garage area. And now NASCAR is involved in a mainstream thing, and the timing of this. Are you kidding me, NASCAR? Why, dude? Whoever thought it was a good idea to go public with this before the facts were together? You've just sent everyone back. Decades. NASCAR did so much work with Bubba Wallace, with the teams, with everything. The Black Lives Matter car. I don't really know how I feel about the Black Lives Matter car. I think it's just as divisive as a Trump car. I don't know if neither should be allowed or both should be allowed. That's really at this point I think irrelevant, because NASCAR has set themselves so far back. They did so much. Those moments during the Talladega race, The post-race moment where Bubba Wallace is going up against the fence and he's got adoring fans and everything's wonderful and happy. The pre-race moment where everyone was lined up on the pit lane, every man on every crew pushing the 43 to the front of the pit lane, everyone coming together in a moment of solidarity, and now it's tainted! Because this wasn't a hate crime! And that's how everyone's gonna see this. Everyone outside of the circle, everyone that only followed this story through Twitter, not actually through the trends, not actually following the actual journalists inside the sport, not actually following the drivers themselves, their profiles, their Instagrams, their videos, their conversations, everything else. The people that look at this from an outsider's perspective, who don't understand the inner workings of everything that NASCAR has been doing, they're gonna look at this and they're gonna just laugh. They're gonna look at this and say, Bubba Smollett, and it's not fair. It's not fair to Bubba Wallace. He had nothing to do with this. And as someone who is following the sport on a daily basis, who has devoted this entire channel, I wanted to be a gamer. I wanted to be PewDiePie. And yet here I am, having to make fucking videos because NASCAR is too incompetent to keep things under wraps. You go, don't go public during investigations. Isn't this like a #1 rule? Isn't this like a #1 rule of being a witness? Don't fucking tweet about your fucking crime that you're investigating. I am so mad right now. I am so mad because everyone involved in this, basically everyone involved in this, jumped the gun, and this is why society is collapsing. This isn't even why we've gone beyond the point of NASCAR dying. NASCAR is irrelevant at this point, okay? Society itself is falling apart. America is so fucked, dude. You have no idea. You have no idea. If I lived in a city, I would be fearful for my life. I'm not even exaggerating. I live in the middle of bumfuck nowhere with a bunch of conservative Christians who own guns, and I feel safe as shit. Not even gonna lie. If I lived in a city, if I lived within 10 minutes of Minneapolis, I'd be fucking gone, dude. Sorry to break up the flow there, I just wanted to check the camera because it films in 20-minute segments, and if it cut out during one of my rants, I'd be extremely mad. But the point that I'm trying to make is that everyone involved in this needs to just look at themselves in the mirror and realize what they've done wrong. NASCAR. You've done so many things wrong that I can't even begin. Journalists. Verified Twitter journalists. Calm down, okay? Not everything has to be a hyper-sensationalized moment. We agree. Everyone, I hope that everyone watching this agrees that if this actually was a hate crime, it's objectively terrible, and whoever perpetrated it should have been banned for life. Now that we know it was not a hate crime, we need to reflect on this moment. We as a collective society need to reflect on the fact that we have fanned the flames. That's all we've done is fan the flames. American cities are on fire, dude. And all we've done is fan those flames. We are, as a society, a moment away from just a complete breakdown. We are a moment away from something, and like, you can even say that this moment has been set off. Like, this really isn't even about NASCAR at this point. This is all of us, every human being. We need to calm down. We need to take a breath before we get to things, okay? So like I was saying before, this is probably the best possible outcome for all parties. Alright? We know that it was not someone in NASCAR in the garage area because the fans were not permitted in the garage area. There's limited crews. Like, if this was someone in the actual garage area, it would have been one of the biggest names. It would have been an engineer on an important team that did this. And the fact that it was not a hate crime is great. There was, because this really is the best possible outcome. There's no two ways about it. To find out that someone in the garage area, and like I said, this is going to be someone who's long tenured, who's been in there their entire lives, alright? If they'd been, you know, harboring these feelings of hatred and stuff, if they had been harboring that kind of shit, and they'd been traveling everywhere, like, that's a black mark on the entire sport. And we really, it'd be very good if we could, you know, just remember this for that opening moment. The opening moment, the national anthem, everyone coming together. If we can remember this for that, remember this entire situation just for that, it's not going to fix anything. It's not going to fix anything, but if we can just keep that in mind. Keep in mind the fact that NASCAR did come together. They did join hands in unison, okay? It was a good moment. It was an objectively good moment to see that. The problem is that they went public with it. No one needed to know this until the investigation was over. This is going to be a boogaloo unlike any boogaloo you've ever seen. We've seen the backlash, and I know it's not the same, but we saw the backlash that Jussie Smollett got. We know that he has been clowned on in an orbital strike, that level of clownage, and we need to keep calm heads, because reacting emotionally is what got us into this situation to begin with. So my message to NASCAR, stop! Okay? Take a breath. Everyone involved in this needed to take a breath, wait for the facts, and instead, we've got people all over Twitter, we got people in all corners of life that's seen this, and they've seen the result. And they're going to think bad things. Things that I don't want to say because I'll get taken out of context. That's the kind of things they're going to think. So, all in all, I'm fucking mad, dude. This did not need to happen. I am very mad. This was... I don't know what else to say, dude. I'm probably going to make a follow-up at some point, because this was just me yelling, getting out this frustration that I have with everyone involved. Everyone involved just completely, they just dropped the ball. They completely whiffed this. Like, this is a butt fumble level fucking catastrophic failure by NASCAR, by the journalist, by... And I'm sure people noticed me on Twitter. I hate it. I hate the fact that I have a tendency to be right, but I barely said anything about this on Twitter. Because I'm just so fucking jaded by being involved, by following the culture war for the last 5 years. I just knew in my soul that this was gonna end there was no way that this wasn't going to end like this. Because people reacting emotionally. They needed to take a breath and think through the problem. I'm glad that moment during the pre-race happened. That was a good thing. And if it's tainted because of this, well, that sucks. But at least it happened. At least in that moment. In that moment in time, we saw everyone come together. We saw unity. There has not There was no divisiveness. There was no kneeling. There was no blowing shit out of proportions. I mean, it obviously was being blown out of proportions, but there was no clear lack of empathy. There was no clear lack of inclusion. Everyone stood together. Everyone stood together except for those couple of guys on the sidelines that were watching over the cars and preparing stuff. I noticed that. I was hoping no one would take that out of context or whatever, but everyone did come together. It was a moment of unity when this country needed it the most. And if it's tainted, that's fucking shitty. But in that moment, we saw unity. There was no divisiveness. I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point, but like I have to emphasize, there was no divisiveness. There was no chanting. There was no burning shit down, okay? There was no exclusion. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. It was unity. Something we don't see anywhere else. And it was a great moment. So I hope it's not tainted, and I hope that we can move on from this, but I'm scared, dude. I'm scared. Society is collapsing. And it's not fun, man. I don't like being in a moment of history. Can we go back to 2016 when this was more fun? When society collapsing was a big meme and it wasn't, actually collapsing? I'd appreciate that. Alright, amazingly I've managed to get this all into one clip, so this will be going up hopefully today. I hope we can move on from this, I really do, but I'm not holding my breath. So, anyway, thanks for listening to me yell for 20 minutes. I needed to get that out. I hope that this doesn't be a bad thing. I think I've used all my brain power for one day, so thanks for watching. I'll see you in whatever comes next. The end is here, folks, and I feel fine.